Paulie suggested bringing in Bomani Jones of the mothership to talk about this. How do we want our athletes, Bomani?
It just all depends on which athlete that we're talking about, right? Like there's no common thing. This is very selective. Let's say you like a guy that puts his head down and just doesn't do, doesn't talk, doesn't say a word. That's how you mess around and get Marvin Harrison, man. Like you ain't necessarily gonna get Tim Duncan like that. So nobody knows exactly what they want out of the athletes. We do tend to like cool. Cool goes a long way.
Well, you have Jeter, Tiger Woods, Johnny Manziel. If you said you're trying to serve your audience, do we serve our audience by showing them this is how to do it in Derek Jeter, or this is how not to do it with Johnny Manziel? Tiger's sort of caught in between. He tried to be private, it went public, and then spiraled out of control. So where would you lean if you're serving your audience and covering somebody?
Well, I guess it all kind of depends, because I think the thing with Derek Jeter, because my thing is I'm giving you whoever those dudes happen to be. Like, I mean, in terms of the coverage, I think we can come up with good coverage with just about anybody. Derek Jeter wound up covering all the bases that you wanted, though. I mean, it was the quiet thing if you wanted it that way, cool. It was all the winning because he wanted it on a World Series team if you wanted that, cool. But the reason Derek Jeter is famous in the way that he is famous is because of that Mariah Carey story when he first came up, where he dated Mariah Carey, told her to leave him alone, and kept shaking off her calls. That was when people were like, yo, this Derek Jeter dude, man, I want to see what's up with that. If he doesn't do that, we don't like him the same way.
Wait a minute. He fouled off Mariah Carey, and then that's why we fell for Jeter?
He was 22 years old. 22 years old. He's the shortstop for the Yankees. He hit the league, and all y'all would have gnawed off your arm to get at Mariah Carey. He was trying to shake Mariah Carey off. I mean, look, everybody had to look up at him and be like, yo, I think this dude's a little bit different.
Is that why we like Manziel?
I think Manziel's different because we created a Manziel that didn't exist at first. Remember when he was Johnny Football, chopping wood, singing the theme song to Daniel Boone and everything else? Then they looked up and they're like, yo, Manziel is wild, man. Like he went from nothing to a star in the course of the Alabama game in 2012. That was it. Then this is the guy you got. I don't even know if people really like him so much right now as they're looking at it like, dude, what in the world is going on? Because we have never seen anybody like this.
I also, having Levitard on yesterday, he talked about LeBron, this move to Cleveland, that it's PR related. This is I want to be loved again by my hometown. That's part of this whole process here. But do you find athletes now understand that I can control the narrative here? I can break news on my own website. I can have a first-person column to talk about this, that I'm controlling it, not you.
No, they do know that. Like Tiger Woods has been a guy that's done that forever. You're not getting anything unless he gets beat up and his car gets into a wreck in the driveway. We're not finding anything out about Tiger Woods that we don't want to. It's the same thing with Derek Jeter. Like guys of a certain caliber have truly figured out that they can dominate this because they control the leverage. They have the means of production to put this stuff out. So I do think that guys get that. I do think that they understand it. And I also agree with Dan on LeBron that a big part of this, it may not have been about PR, but they sure did get the PR perfectly on the back end.
Okay. I had guys in Cleveland, two guys who are Cavalier fans, who said Levitard is delivering a line of bull. He's got to be angry at LeBron James for doing that to his Miami Heat.
Well, I find that Cavaliers fans the Cleveland fans in general have a difficult time believing that the rest of us aren't as crazy as they are. Like, that's one of the things about being crazy is if you don't realize that not everybody else is like this, because they're different up there about this. This is a town of convenient relationships. You think anybody's surprised if somebody came down here for 4 years, got what they wanted, and left? People out here doing this every day. Like, that's what life is here. I mean, that's just how it goes. So Dan's not upset, no, because Dan's going to be fine, and he's not wired on that. I just got here a year ago, so I'm not going to be upset. But people seem really shocked and confused at the idea that he could not be just bummed out about the fact that they got these two championships. I don't think it was ever an emotional relationship between Miami and LeBron. If D. Wade had left under those circumstances, then it'd be something different.
He's Bomani Jones of ESPN joining us, Dan Patrick Show. You just look at how the media covers athletes now. If Jordan is Jordan now, do we know everything about him with gambling, with women, with everything that was pretty much, if you wanted access to him, you weren't going there. How would it be now with today's social media?
Well, he was such a big deal that nobody will wind up telling. I mean, it's not as if LeBron probably doesn't have some things that he doesn't want us to know about that people are aware of that nobody says because he's such a big deal. Like, the danger for a guy like Michael Jordan in this day and age would be like TMZ, a place where they don't have to deal with him on a daily basis so they can go ahead and tell on him and then not really have to incur any sort of penalty. But Michael Jordan, the other thing about him was people wanted to be cool, and you saw this yourself covering at the time. People wanted to be cool with Michael Jordan so badly. That Be Like Mike thing was really real. So when you talk to the guys who covered Michael Jordan in that era, it's like the coolest thing they've ever done. And they just talk about him in such reverential terms. They would have never told on Michael Jordan because then you can't hang out with Michael Jordan. Then he'll never speak to you again.
Well, Tiger, it was that way with Tiger for a long time. But didn't you find it amazing, Bomani, that once the floodgates opened, everybody felt like I had a hall pass to criticize the great Tiger Woods?
Yeah, people were waiting. There's two things. One, people were waiting to criticize Tiger Woods for the longest because he's not exactly the most likable character, and he wielded the power of being Tiger Woods over media guys, so they could not wait, especially those guys in golf who weren't so happy to have him come around in the first place. Like, I thought that was a big part of it, of what happened to him. The other part was it was everybody's chance to prove to their wife that they hate adultery too, right? So he gets caught up for cheating on his woman. Let me make sure my woman knows I ain't never going to do anything like that to her. What a scoundrel and a scumbag. How dare he do that to that beautiful Nordic princess?
Sports Jeopardy coming up. I don't know if you want to. If I said I'm going to put you on with two other guys to prove your sports knowledge, trivia, who would you want a piece of?
That's a good question because I wouldn't so much be going on there to prove anything as much as to inflict pain. Like, who don't you like? Like, whoever you don't like, you can put them on there and I can do that for you. Like, what kind of, I mean, I'm just here to help, you know?
Well, if I put you on, let's say, Around the Horn. Any of those guys, hold your water. Tony Reali might be sneaky good on that.
Yeah, he's not even sneaky. He'd be incredible. And, like, don't put me on there with Bob Ryan because he would just embarrass us all with a whole lot of words to it, right? Don't put me on there with Woody Page either, man. You've been living a long time. You learned a lot of like real useless stuff in the course of that. Put me on there with Michael Smith. I would enjoy that. He's my good friend. I can, bring the pain to him without worrying about it causing a fight.
But it's amazing what you remember, and you don't even know why you remembered it. But there's always that. I say to my wife, when I'll just throw out, I don't even remember, certain birth dates, but I can, all of a sudden tell you Dan Dreesen's batting average, in 1974, like crazy stuff like that.
It's 1987 for me. I have a ridiculous level of knowledge of arcane information in the 1987 baseball season because we moved to Houston from Atlanta that year, and I didn't know anybody there, and all I had was baseball cards and books. Like, I can rattle off stats from you from 1987 that are just like, why do you know that? Like, how do you have any friends if you're the guy who knows this?
Give me one.
Well, Tony Gwynn hit 370 to win the batting title that year. I think Andre Dawson hit 47 home runs, 137 RBIs with Dale Murphy's 30-30 season that year with 44 and 30 steals. We can go up and down the board on that. I'm really not proud of this.
Didn't Dawson win the MVP on the last place team that year?
Dawson won the MVP on the last place team, and then Murphy was on the fifth place team in the West that year, and he probably had the second best season. And Steve Bedrosian won the Cy Young. Like, you want to get somebody's hole in their knowledge, ask them who won the Cy Young for the Phillies in 1987.
That was Bedrock.
That was Bedrock.
Yeah.
And they were in fourth place. How you the closer on a sorry team and you win the Cy Young Award?
How do you finish last and get the MVP? They could have finished last without you.
Yeah, that is what they told Ralph Kiner. But, 47 home runs, that'll do it for you.
Good to talk to you, Bo. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, Daddy. Take it easy.
All right, Bomani Jones of the Mothership.